The offensive and advance of the Russians in the Novopavlovsk direction are not extremely dangerous, since the enemy has concentrated its main emphasis on another section of the front. Military expert and retired colonel of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Sergey Grabsky, spoke about this on air at Radio NV. He explained such rates by the fact that the Ukrainian side cannot ensure the same density of troops on the entire section of the front due to a lack of personnel. Why I am calm about this is because the enemy is creating a protective barrier there. The task is to get out and gain a foothold on the banks of the Solon River in order to create a buffer zone in this direction. It is hard to say whether they will go further. He noted that the Russians have now concentrated their main forces for an offensive between the Pokrovsky and Konstantinovsky directions. And there, according to Grabsky, the situation is extremely difficult. The enemy has learned the lessons of Bakhmut and Avdiivka, and that is why he is now trying to act in a combined manner. The enemy is tying down our troops on the front line. Our logistical communications, which provide the Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration, are under attack by enemy drones, which seriously complicates the issue of providing our troops, which are conducting defense there, the expert added. Grabsky noted that near Bakhmut, the Russians were involved in heavy street fighting, trying to break through the city, and therefore suffered significant losses. Whereas near Avdiivka, their tactics were completely different. There are concerns that the enemy wants to play the same game in the area of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. After all, he understands that the Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration itself is larger than Bakhmut. Therefore, getting involved in street fighting is critically unprofitable for him. It will simply be a bloody meat grinder on both sides, which will lead to serious casualties. If we have no choice, we must hold on. For the Russians, this means a loss of the pace of the offensive. No matter how slow it is still noticeable.
Ukrainian soldiers have denied reports about the occupation of the villages of Yalta and Voskresenka in Donetsk region by the invading Russian army. Ukrainian fighters, who destroyed Russian soldiers near both villages with kamikaze drones, have raised the Ukrainian flag in those villages. As seen in drone footage, soldiers from Ukraine's 31st Brigade raised the Ukrainian flag in Voskresenka, while fighters from the 505th Marine Battalion did so in Yalta. It should be noted that the Russian Ministry of Defense had reported at the end of June that the village of Yalta had come under Russian control, and more recently, the village of Voskresenka was also claimed to be under Russian soldiers' control. A Ukrainian flag has appeared on the Kinbun Spit, which is occupied by the Russian Federation. The video showing the flag in the area has been published in Telegram channels. According to reports circulate in social media, the flag was raised by the Ukrainian guerrilla groups who entered the area. However, these reports have yet to be confirmed. Meanwhile, pro-Russian sources have reported about Ukrainian armed forces activity in the area. The Kinbun Spit is a strategically important site located in the northwest of the Kinbun Peninsula, between the Dnipropetrovsk estuary and the Black Sea. It is part of Ukraine's Mykolaiv region. The Kinbun Spit has been controlled by Russian forces since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Russia may be preparing for a major summer offensive, CNN reported on Thursday. Russia could soon launch a large-scale summer offensive, possibly within the next few days or weeks with the use of 160,000 troops that are being amassed near the front line, CNN quoted Ukrainian officials as saying. The report pointed to the fact that recently Russian forces have been making simultaneous advances in several key areas, including Pokrovsk, Konstantinovka, and Kupiansk, adding that if successful, the offensive could threaten three major Ukrainian defensive positions in the east. Ukrainian commanders are cautioned that if Russian troops manage to break through at Rodinsk, near Pokrovsk, Ukrainian units there could become surrounded, a situation reminiscent of the encirclement in Avdiivka. CNN highlighted that Russian President Vladimir Putin may be aiming to act within a 50-day timeframe, the period Donald Trump has suggested before enacting secondary sanctions against Russia. This window could see a significant increase in Russian military pressure on the front lines. CNN quoted Keir Giles from Chatham House as saying that, the deadline of 50 days gives Russia plenty of time to concoct its own alternative plan, and once again outmaneuver Washington through a diplomatic ploy which Trump may well accept willingly. Trump's latest extension of his notional deadlines for Putin extends Ukraine's suffering for the same arbitrary period. In the past 72 hours, Russian troops have edged closer Rodinsk settlement near Pokrovsk. CNN also quoted a Ukrainian commander as saying that Russian offensive had been underway for some time. It has probably not reached its peak yet, he said, but they have been advancing for some time and are doing so quite successfully. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, General Alexis Grinkwich, said Thursday that preparations are underway for weapons transfers to Ukraine and that NATO is working very closely with Germany to transfer Patriot systems. According to Associated Press, Grinkwich said at a military event in Wiesbaden, Germany, that he had been ordered to move the weapons out as quickly as possible. He said the number of weapons being transferred is classified. We're already in preparation phase for the first tranche of capability to start moving with respect to Patriots, he said. My guidance is to get the Ukrainians what they need to defend themselves. US President Donald Trump agreed to send the weaponry, but it will be paid for by European countries. An expert working group under Grinkwich is to discuss concrete planning, very quickly but also with corresponding caution, a German Defense Ministry spokesperson said Wednesday. NATO chief Mark Rutte said in Washington on Monday that the alliance is coordinating the military support with funding from allies in Europe and Canada. He said there were commitments from Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands and Canada, with more expected to follow.
Systems from Germany